What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home here at fakepigskin.com. Here to break down the NFL Week 15 slate along with our college football minutes. Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
What's up, Kyle? I can't believe that we're already in week 15 right now. This has been both the longest and the quickest year, I think, that I can ever remember.
Yeah, so many said it wouldn't happen. Many said we wouldn't get here, and here we are. So it's been a wild ride based on injury notes and other stuff happening. I don't think our ride is over, and we'll see how, maybe we're talking about this same shenanigans next year, but we'll see. If you're enjoying what we're doing, if you're enjoying the show, make sure you mash that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell notification when we go live. Really appreciate everybody checking out the shows, subscribing to the shows, joining us live every Sunday morning, hopefully helping carry you into the fantasy playoffs and beyond. We've had some good calls. We've had some not so good calls. It's been a mixed bag, but hopefully you've picked out the winners and avoided the losers and, all that good stuff. Brian, let's recap week 14 before we dive into week 15. Oh, a truly wild ride. I hit another best bet, which is mind-boggling. That's 2 in a row. I'm gonna go for the turkey, but we'll see if we get there. Ugly NFL card, just pretty much across the board. ASU minus 11, 170-7. I'd say that's a pretty easy cover, and then UNC plus the 3.5 won outright by a lot. So that was a nice back-to-back. Bama, Arkansas was 40 something points in the first half and ended up about 48 points at the end of the game. So that was lovely. And Illinois had the ball driving, could have at least got me a push, did not do that. So college was okay. NFL was not great. But I'm working ever closer to 500 if, finish the season strong, end up around 500. What a season I had.
Yeah, this season has been a roller coaster ride where you went like 4 or 5 straight weeks of not winning a best bet. And now you're on a little roll here. And then the weeks that we were backing either Chicago or, for me, Cleveland, and in spots where they should have smashed, both didn't hit. So that just shows you kind of the anomalies that happen within the betting market.
Yep. Fade bad coaches against good ones. Fade Mitchell Trubisky when everybody likes him. Bet on Mitchell Trubisky when everyone hates him. That is my mantra. That is what we're doing. Let's dive into week 15. We have a lot to get into. There's a bunch of really compelling games, as well as a full slate of college. We have our college football minute where we'll talk some of these big matchups, as well as the NCAA giving us the little Christmas present saying, you know what? We didn't play that many games this year. Here's a few extra. Throw them in. We got 2 games on Saturday. We got a whole slate on Sunday. We were talking. We are 4 days away from bowl games. Like, this is wild. It was a rough start, but you know what? I'm gonna be off for a week, watching all the sports, betting on all the sports, and loving every minute of it.
Yeah, you are a lucky man. This is what all of us sports fans have been waiting for and kind of deserve this year after going through all of the uncertainty that was surrounding all of these sports. Like, this is just a sports fan, and more importantly, a bettor's dream coming up here over the next couple weeks.
Yep. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Bet. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the big games. The biggest one, obviously, the New Orleans Saints versus Kansas City Chiefs. And Brian, we got a bit of breaking news with old Michael Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, he sat out today's practice, which makes it 2 days in a row now that he's missed, and that's not looking good for a guy who he's kind of re-cemented himself as, a top-end wide receiver, more so a wide receiver 2 than a wide receiver 1 with the way this offense has been running. But now going up against a Chiefs team who, no matter how good your defense is, they're going to put up points. He is in a much-needed spot for the Saints, going into this game after coming off of a surprising loss to Philadelphia, and now clearly behind the Packers for the number 1 seed there in the NFC, and a must-win game for them. it'll be interesting to see if he's ruled out what this line does, because normally wide receivers and skill position players don't adjust the point spread very much. But
Yeah.
when it's that important of a player for a team, I think we could see this game kind of shift into like the 5 range, 5 or 6 even.
No, it won't move that much. It maybe moves a half a point, but yeah, I mean, as you were even saying, like Michael Thomas is a phenomenal player, but from what this team's been doing the past couple weeks, he's not. Like he still gets pelted with targets. Don't get me wrong, but he isn't mission critical to what they want to do. And honestly, it is kind of weird. Like last week, we saw a Drew Brees type offense, but with Taysom Hill under center, actually playing more of a quarterback. So if they go back to a running play, it will be interesting. Yes, we're looking at the Chiefs as a 3-point favorite on the road in New Orleans. Kind of interesting given I guess, so it's interesting because in theory, this is in New Orleans, but since there's no crowd, it seems like, as the season's rolled along, we've really realized that the home field advantage really doesn't matter too much this year. So the bookmakers have really adjusted as the season went along. Made this game like almost like a neutral site. Like let's just make it lines, and it's been working for them. So Chiefs -3, Saints +3. And over a total sitting at 51 and a half. Like where's your head at if you're lining up to bet this game?
I mean, if I were to see this line in a traditional year, I'm jumping all over the Saints +3 here. But kind of like you said, how this is more of a neutral site kind of game, especially being played in a dome where Kansas City likes to play fast and they have a lot of fast players. I think this puts New Orleans at a pretty hefty disadvantage. And if Michael Thomas is limited by any means, I think you're going to see a lot more Latavius Murray, a lot more ground game by New Orleans. I don't think you're going to see them trying to throw the ball 30 plus times up against this Chiefs team, trying to keep them off the field. So I'm kind of looking at the over under sitting at 51 and a half. And if I think that New Orleans is going to be in this game, I think they're going to have to keep it slightly lower scoring than what we would normally see in a Chiefs game. So on that, I hate doing this in New Orleans, but I like the Chiefs -3 here. I just think that with Patrick, I'll take Patrick Mahomes as a 3-point favorite, basically in a neutral site game almost any day.
Yeah. Well, my fantasy team that is rolling towards the championship had the most points in the league. Currently consists of Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. So I am hoping that you were 100% correct. And I am also with you that if you like New Orleans, I think taking the under makes way too much sense, especially if they run a little more Taysom Hill. They use, Alvin and Latavius. And if you think the Chiefs roll, then the over, I think, makes a lot more sense. I'm going to try and avoid betting this game. But if I had to bet it, I think I would take the man. I really want to say the over. I really want to say Kansas City. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna sit this one out and watch this game from this will not be on my card, but this will be on my TV. The next game I want to talk about is the Arizona Cardinals versus Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts has given this team some life. Played New Orleans last week. I thought I was being a real smart guy by jumping on New Orleans early on the live line minus only 2.5. Oh, they just got to win by 3. They could do that. It's no problem. No, apparently it was a problem. So the Eagles defense, actually, they get a lot of really good pressure. Hurts is given the offensive life. Miles Sanders apparently fell into an amazing opportunity. And we kind of talked about how that might happen traditionally with running quarterbacks. It does make things better.
Yeah.
But now they're playing Arizona. I don't know what to make of Arizona. They should not have covered last week. They looked like garbage for 4 quarters.
Dude, I that's exactly what I was going to say. This line is one of the most interesting ones of the week for me because nobody on earth had expected to see that Cardinals team last week, and for them to defeat the Giants the way that they did, a Giants team that had been playing extremely well and covering pretty much every single week. It was just a weird game. It was played weird. That's why this game is probably going to be an avoid for me, just because I've seen it too many times with the Cardinals that they don't play up to par going up against an Eagles team who they're going to put a lot of pressure on Kyler Murray. And if he's still worried about that shoulder and running, I think you could see a scenario where this game plays out very similarly to last week against New Orleans, and Philadelphia stays in it pretty much the entirety of the day.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles plus. If I can get a touchdown, I'm my, even if it means buying it up a little bit, I consider that. But yeah, I think the Eagles are getting too many points. I don't necessarily think they're the better team, but I would look at them on the money line too, because I think that is an opportunity to attack this game. I think Arizona, I feel like they're not that good. Like they're fine, and maybe the Eagles are fine, but to make the Eagles almost a touchdown underdog, even in Arizona, as we talked about the other games, like there's not that big of a home field, and they're sharing it with San Francisco. So who knows what that's doing? I don't know. Give me the 6.5. I'm putting that on my card right now. I'll let you go on the Minnesota Vikings versus the Fighting Mitchell Trubisky's. Where are we at there?
Man, if I can get it where it's currently sitting at right here, I'm going to roll with the team that has been playing some of the best football in the NFL right now, and I'm going to take the 3 with the Bears. The Vikings defense is horrible. Their corners haven't been able to cover anybody. Allen Robinson has looked like the stud that we all know he is, and David Montgomery has finally kind of squashed some of the haters' vitriol towards him about how he's not a good running back and all this stuff. And he broke off a couple long runs over the past couple weeks. And then, like you said, the aforementioned Trubisky, he's looking really good right now in this offense. And they're getting Cole Kmet involved. Darnell Mooney is playing a lot better. Jimmy Graham is kind of, settled into his red zone role, and they're not really relying on him in between the 20s anymore. In Minnesota, I have a really hard time trusting Kirk Cousins regardless of the matchup. So that's why I'm going to go with the Bears and their defense, which looked a lot better last week, albeit against Houston's non-existent passing or offensive line. Deshaun Watson was basically under pressure the entire game. And I think we could see a similar situation this week against Minnesota.
Yeah. If Dalvin Cook is able to kind of establish himself, maybe it makes it a little easier. But yeah, no, I think the Bears are at Kirk Cousins all day, and when Kirk Cousins has a little bit of pressure on him, he wilts like a flower in the sun. So I'm looking to get the official line because I'm seeing 3.5s. What are you seeing? Let's take a gander here.
So on one of the sites we use, it's actually Chicago +3 even money.
So BetMGM and FanDuel have it at 3.5. It's 3 across. It's pretty much 3s across the board. So we'll play it at 3. But yeah, I'm taking the Bears +3, which means it's going to go horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah, probably. I mean, every time that we've backed them or we've gotten all over Trubisky,
I feel like it's a pretty good. I feel like this game will probably end on 3. So I think jumping on that push is probably the worst case scenario, which I'm happy with. Let's hit the best of the rest and let's talk about a few other games. I want to start with my Tennessee Titans, who figured it out against Jacksonville. Now let me go back a week and pull up this line because they are 11-point favorites against the Fighting Chase Daniels. A week ago in Jacksonville, they were a touchdown favorite against Mike Glennon. Why the 4 points? Just because they beat the crap out of Jacksonville, so now they're giving them more points, and they're at home. But
I'm kind of wondering if it more has to do with it, less with the quarterback situation and more with the weapons on the outside that Detroit doesn't have, as opposed to what Jacksonville, we thought what they were going to be able to bring to the table last week. And so I think that's why we're seeing this line where it is. And it's also being played in Tennessee where it's going to be cold. Detroit's probably not going to have Matthew Stafford. They still don't have their big target on the outside in Kenny Golladay, as he's missed practice again. So he's not playing.
And they have Frank Ragnow, who has a fractured throat.
Yeah.
That's something I knew you could fracture, but yeah, that sounds horrible. Yeah, I think Honestly, if I was betting this game, I would side with the Lions. I think this could be a gross game, but I'm just going to go under 51.5. Like, I guess Derrick Henry could run for 4 touchdowns and Ryan Tannehill could put up a ton of points. But
Please no. I'm playing Henry in two leagues this week, so
I think the under
not have that
51.5 is the play there.
yeah, I don't think Detroit finds the end zone more than twice this week.
What good question, Brian. If we don't, to avoid the over or under and just look at a team total, do you have a number on the old team total for Detroit there?
Let's see where it's sitting at right now.
Because I feel like that could be a good way to attack it. Because the only thing that worries me is the Titans secondary is kind of garbage sometimes, and they let teams hang around.
Yeah, because I was looking for that right there, but I think the books are kind of holding back on seeing the status of Matthew Stafford because that'll definitely change what they think Detroit is able to do on offense.
Yeah. The other even DraftKings sportsbooks hiding a lot of stuff. So yeah, I'll take the under 51.5 and I will be really happy. What game stands out to you that we haven't discussed already?
Let's see here. There's a lot this week that I really like. And one of the ones that I'm looking at is that Tampa Bay Atlanta game. You got Atlanta who's coming off another Atlanta game where they had every opportunity presented to them to win and come out victorious against the Chargers, as it was a battle of who wanted to lose the most. And Atlanta won that. So at least they won something. And then you got Tampa Bay coming in, who they've kind of been stumbling over the last few weeks. That offense hasn't looked very good. Now they're going to be missing Ronald Jones, who's, a similar situation that happened to Chris Godwin a few weeks ago with having a pin inserted into his pinky after fracturing his finger. Now last weekend's game day scratch or healthy scratch, Leonard Fournette is going to lead the team in carries. I think this is a situation where you see Tom Brady come out, throw the ball about 50 times, put up 350 plus yards, 4+ touchdowns. I think Tampa Bay absolutely steamrolls the Falcons. And I think that it's not even close in this game. So right now with that game sitting at 6, I think that's kind of just the number based on the way that they've been playing recently. And Tampa Bay is by far the better team. So I think that's a good spot to, kind of make some money there.
My only concern, and we'll see what the status of Julio is, he's kind of up in the air right now, is the Bucs kind of have a funnel defense that leads to passing, and Matt Ryan just kicking in the back door at the end of the game. Because I could see it being 31-10, and you're feeling great. And then here comes the Falcons. And then here comes the Falcons. And then, and it's 31-25, some random score, and you don't cover. So,
my one thing on that, though, is the fact that Tampa Bay is going to be super aggressive in between the tackles as far as like rushing up the middle against Matt Ryan. And he, like a Tom Brady, like a Jared Goff, like a Kirk Cousins, they are not good with guys at their feet or in their face when they're trying to throw. And especially if Julio Jones misses, he's going to be missing that big outlet receiver. So I think that this is a situation where you see the bad Matt Ryan and Tampa Bay just rolls them.
Yeah, I mean, most of the season we've seen the bad Matt Ryan, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I definitely missed on that one.
Let's talk the Seahawks and the Washington football team. Opened at 3, it's up to 6. Alex Smith is out, right? Is he officially out, or is it still kind of up in the air?
So I guess he was practicing off to the side today. I would lean on the side of him missing this game.
Yeah, the Fighting Dwayne Haskins does not really have a chance even against the Seattle team, but the Washington defense has been so solid that like I really want to back Washington here, especially even though they're it's at home, so Seattle is coming out and then going back, and I don't know, it's just something that interests me. The other games I think that kind of piqued my interest is the Texans getting 7.5 against the Colts. We saw how bad it can be for the Texans offense without their pass catchers and when Deshaun Watson has pressure. If DeForest Buckner and Darius Leonard and the Colts defense do their thing, they should win this game and cover that spread. Opened at 6.5. It's up to 7.5. If I did anything, I'd probably back the Colts, but but I definitely don't love it. Lamar and the Ravens are favored by almost 2 touchdowns against Jacksonville. Minshew Mania is back. I think the Ravens win. I think they play well enough and pretty much win, lead the whole way. But I'm taking Jacksonville plus all of the points. That is, I know I keep doing that, and it's probably stupid, but I trust Minshew walk. I trust James Robinson to run enough, and that Ravens defense did not look good last week against Cleveland.
Hey, the one thing about the Browns though is with that two-headed monster back there playing running back, that's going to give a lot of teams problems, regardless of how good their defense is. So
yeah, but Baker was throwing all over him. Rashard Higgins and
Baker did look really good on those little play action rollouts. I'll give him that.
As somebody who was holding a Baltimore -3 ticket, which I'm blown away that we actually cashed. I got real nervous once that they got a nice big lead. I was like, oh, okay, this will be easy. They'll cruise around. Felt good about the under, and then that game picked up speed, and then the Twitter jokes hit, and it was a wild ride. I'm
going completely opposite in that game. I'm laying the 13 with the Ravens.
Crazy. Should we be backing the Jets? I know they're the Jets, but 17 and a half?
No.
17 and a half? So we're or are we just going to avoid it?
No. Okay, so yes, last week the Seahawks minus the spread against the Jets were one of my favorite bets. Their first half was my favorite bet. And then this week, if you follow me on Twitter, you saw me post my look ahead bet I got on the Rams of minus 13 and a half. Now it's all the way up to 17, which is why it kind of pays to look ahead here. I still think the Rams are going to cover this, mainly because their defense will be able to create points, probably more points than what the Jets are going to be able to score. And then all you need is another 10 from the Rams offense against the absolute worst pass defense in the NFL right now. I just don't see a chance for the Jets to do anything on offense to kind of stay anywhere near the Rams in this game.
Yeah, so this is per Hayden Winks on Twitter. The Rams have the second highest situation neutral pass rate over the last 4 weeks, meaning they are throwing a lot.
Not good for the Jets.
Yeah, especially for a Jets team that is in a neutral situation, allowing the second highest pass rate.
There you go.
So Rams by 100, huh? Because I honestly feel like when the Rams, I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about the Rams are when they're 7 points or 10 points more the past 3 years are basically undefeated against the spread, and when the Jets are a double-digit favorite underdogs, haven't covered against the spread. So you know what? I know it's 17 and a half, and I know we'll talk about this in the college game, but when lines are absurd, take the absurdity and go lead into it, because they're trying to get people. They're like, what crazy number do we have to lay?
Yep,
people to actually say, I will take the Jets here, and I'm going to take the Rams plus minus the 17 and a half.
Yeah, and I think also too, if you want to stay away from the game total, looking at the first half line again is a good situation here, because the Rams are currently sitting at 10-point favorite in the first half. And for a team that is as efficient as they are on offense, with both running and passing off of the play action against probably the youngest defense in the NFL right now, the Rams are probably going to score 10 in the first quarter and not give up anything. So then all you need is another field goal in a game that they're going to control the clock. They're going to control the game. I think they're winning 17-20 to nothing at halftime. Yeah. So I like them in the first half as well.
So we talked about the Seahawks first half minus 7.5 last week at this time. And when I went to actually go bet it, it was all the way up to 10. And I was like, oh, well, that's too much. I'm not gonna jump on that. Boy, did I feel like an idiot when that first half was going on. So I'm gonna try and avoid feeling like an idiot here, and I think I'll take the Rams. So what's the first half? 7
well, the first half currently is 10 right now.
Okay.
So by kickoff, bet it's gonna be upwards of 12 or so, I think.
Any other games standing out to you? There's only one other number that tickled my interest, and I wanted to see what your head's at, because the Bengals getting 13 on Monday night. So this is going to go one of two ways. It's going to be a growth game, the Steelers, where they eke it out, coming off of a couple losses, or we're gonna see a Seahawks Jets part 2 where the Steelers win 47-4.
Yeah, the Steelers, the last time they beat somebody pretty convincingly was 4 weeks ago when they beat Jacksonville 27-3. And their last 3 games since then are 2 losses and a 5-point victory against the Ravens. I know the Bengals are, they're down to their third quarterback now, but they've still looked okay on offense. They just haven't been able to kind of, succeed when they get down and close. That game against the Cowboys got out of hand early because of 3 turnovers in their first 3 possessions. But I think Cincinnati probably would have won the game if it wasn't for that. Hindsight's 2020, but I think they played the better of the 2 teams. I think there is a world where Cincinnati keeps this game rather close because they do have a really good corner in William Jackson. Ben Roethlisberger is not throwing the ball down the field right now, and they haven't looked good at all, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'd be leaning the Bengals with the points here, but it's probably not a game I'm betting.
Yeah.
Especially, I think there's going to be weather involved too. So,
yeah. So let's take the under. Oh, yeah. It opened up at 41.5. It's down to 40.5, 67% of the bets, 99% of the money. I think Bengals and under is the way to play it, but that's. We'll see how the line ticks. If he gets to 2 touchdowns, I'll probably be real betting the Bengals. Yeah. Any other games you want to hit on before we talk to the college football minute, which is definitely going to be a lot longer than a minute?
I do think that Browns Giants game offers some appealing situations to bet here with the Browns going into the, coming off a loss to Baltimore, being only a 6.5 point favorite in New York against the Giants team who, yes, prior last week they were playing really good, but they are still the Giants. I'd probably be laying the points with Cleveland with how good their defense has been playing. And regardless if it's Colt McCoy or Daniel Jones back there, they just don't produce explosive plays against the opponent, and Cleveland can bust off 40-yard runs just like that. So I'd be laying the 6.5 with Cleveland.
I do like the Giants a lot more with Colt McCoy, which is wild, but I think Daniel Jones and turnovers go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly. So
yes,
I would feel much better about Cleveland covering with Daniel Jones under center. Okay, anything else before we head into the college football minute?
Let's get into the NCAA, baby.
So I'll let you lead off. Where's your head at? What are you looking at? And we'll save the bowl games for the end.
All right. Well, I mean, first of all, I don't know how anybody can not back this team right now with the way that they're playing, but Alabama, I mean, they're
not picking them.
They're blowing everybody out of the water, and Florida is, I mean, how do you lose to LSU? That team is absolutely horrible with a chance to get into the college football playoff. I think Alabama absolutely steamrolls Florida here. I'm laying the 17. I don't think Florida's played anybody that's anywhere near as good as what Alabama can produce on both sides of the ball. I just think that they're going to be completely overmatched. Alabama's going to come out shooting. And so I like Alabama laying the 17. I'm going to take the over in the Oklahoma-Iowa State game. It's 58 right now. I think both of these teams' offenses offer such big play potential with Brock Purdy back there and then Rattler for Oklahoma. I think this game could be out of control, 60s in the third quarter here. The other one I'm looking at.
So let's talk about a couple things really quick. In Oklahoma, Iowa State, if you think Oklahoma is going to roll them, I like the over a lot more. If you think Iowa State's going to muck it up and make it gross, Matt Campbell during his time against really good teams has had plenty of games where he's mucked it up. Brock Purdy is not good. He's a game manager, throws to his tight end. Breece Hall is an absolute stud in the backfield. And when he is running well, looks awesome. So if Iowa State can get the ground game going and do what they do best, I think Iowa State winning this game outright is very much in play, and I would be actually looking to back the Cyclones. But if you think Oklahoma is going to just dominate them and kick the crap out of them, I would be backing Oklahoma, and I would be looking at that over. To my point, Brian, it opened up at 60 and a half. It's down to 58, 57 and a half, depending on where you look. So it's trending in that direction. So yeah, I honestly, I think Iowa State on the money line is a play that I will be looking to make, especially in the morning. What was the other game we were just talking about?
Alabama.
Oh yeah. So let me pull up the public betting on that game because it is incredibly compelling. Now I want to see if it's changed since I looked at it. I want to say yesterday or 2 days ago. Let me figure out why this is showing me. Here we go. We are looking at Alabama is getting 85% of the bets, 71% of the money. That is absurd. I know Florida has looked garbage. I know Florida is coming off of a bad loss where they didn't look good, and Alabama's been rolling teams. And you know what happens, Brian? It kind of fixes itself. And I think if I can get the full 17, I'm absolutely taking it with Florida.
I just think Alabama is so much better than what Florida provides that 17 number is really not that difficult to obtain against this Gators team.
Yep. Okay. What was next on your card?
All right. So going to the ACC Championship, which is a rematch of two teams that played extremely close, albeit minus Trevor Lawrence. You enter this game, you see the line at Clemson minus 10.5. It kind of question how it could be so big. I know Trevor Lawrence is really good, but damn, Notre Dame is also, they're pretty damn good too. But I'm not touching the line. Where I'm looking at is Notre Dame team total is only set at 24.5 right now. And if I think that this game is going to be anywhere near the type of matchup that we saw earlier this season, which I do, I think this is going to be a really close game. I like the over in that. I think Notre Dame is going to be able to put up about 27-30 in this game because I think Clemson is also going to be putting up mid 30s. So I like the total game over, but I'm really leaning towards plus money of Notre Dame team total over 24.5.
So I'm taking Notre Dame plus 10.5. This is where my head is at with this line. This is a Trevor Lawrence influenced line. The problem is when these two teams played the first time, it had nothing to do with the offense. It had all to do with the defense. Now, the defenses look better, but even in Trevor Lawrence's game since he's been back, the offense hasn't looked as crisp. They don't have T. Higgins out there. Etienne has been fine, but he hasn't been the running back we've seen the past couple of years. I'm all over Notre Dame here, and I'm going to look at backing Notre Dame on the money line. They're about 3-1. I think this is the best Notre Dame team we've had probably since they played Bama in the title game, and probably I might even be better. But Clemson, this isn't the same Clemson as we've had the past few years. They're not as talented across the board. They have some issues.
They also don't have that speed deep receiver because Justin Ross missing is a huge loss for this offense. Yeah. I know all those other guys are really good. They're extremely talented wide receivers, and they're all probably NFL bound, but none of these guys offer elite speed on the outside. And that's one thing that Notre Dame comes into this game with, and that's really good defense. They play really close to the cuff. They don't let up a ton of big plays here. So yeah, I think Notre Dame keeps this game close, which is why I like their team total. And on your side, I like them with the 10.5.
Yeah, I'm really worried about it because it opened at 7.5. It went out to 10.5. But I think 10.5 is too much. I don't get it. And I might look like an idiot. Clemson might roll. Obviously, Clemson needs to win this game to lock in their spot in the playoff, and that is important. And Notre Dame maybe not as much. I don't know. It just, we may see this matchup 3 times. I don't know. It could be wild.
It'll be interesting to see what the committee does if Clemson handles Notre Dame and they cover the line here, if they factor that into their previous game and then Notre Dame kind of loses some of the value of that win and gets pushed out of the college football playoff.
I think the worst case scenario is unless Clemson wins like 50-3, is Clemson goes up to 2. Notre Dame goes down to 4, and Ohio State or whoever, probably Ohio State, jumps them. because they're not going to have the first round of the playoffs beat this matchup. They're going to have if it's the final, then it's the final, but they'll probably have Notre Dame versus Bama and Clemson versus Ohio State, which is just has me. I'm very excited about the process of that. Any other games on your card before we move along?
So I'm going to once again hit on my favorite college bet of the week, and that's Ohio State laying the 3 touchdowns against Northwestern. I think having this time off has been probably good for their health. I think they're going to come out extremely fast in this game. They're going to absolutely roll the Wildcats. So give me Ohio State minus 20 right now.
Yeah, I might look at Northwestern in the first half. I could see the first quarter being a little lethargic. But yeah, if they come out and look really good, like Northwestern can't keep up with them.
No.
They barely they were messing around with Illinois last week, and maybe the LSU Ole Miss line, the total at 76-77 is interesting. 72% of the bets, 82% of the money on the under. But it's way out to 77.5. I kind of like absurd totals and going over on really high ones and going under on really low ones. And Brian, guess what we have this week? We got 2 service academies playing each other. I was on Army, Army Navy last week. I was on the under. It was 37.5. I was like, oh god, that's a lot of points. They scored, I think, 15 combined points, and it was all from Army. I'm expecting much of the same. So jump on the under of 37.5, depending on where you look. What else you got for me?
So the last game I like is it's a bowl game. So I don't know. Did you want to hit more?
Let me hit the rest of mine, and then we could hit Brian's bowl game. Maybe I can convince Brian to look at some of the bowl games, and we'll do a little bowl game show. But I'm on Coastal Carolina minus the 3.5 versus Louisiana.
Yeah, go Chanticleers.
It's down to 3. If you can get it there, I think it makes a ton of sense. I think Coastal's just better. And they've had some tough matchups. They played that game with BYU. They're ready to roll. Like I said, I'm taking Florida plus the 17. I'm taking the Army Air Force under. I'm taking Notre Dame, and I'm taking Tulsa plus 2 touchdowns against Cincinnati. I know the Bearcats have looked good all year. Desmond Ritter's really stepped his game up. But I think Tulsa has enough to keep this game close. And honestly, like Cincinnati, they might get a little squeaky, a little nervous thinking, hey guys, if we win this, maybe there's an outside shot we make the college football playoff. If there's ever a year to put them in, this would be the one. So I'm curious to see. They need to roll and look really good, but I think Tulsa can keep this game within 2 touchdowns. What are you looking at from a bowl perspective, Brian?
So I'm going to the Boca Raton Bowl, which is one of the first bowl games here. And looking at the line there, seeing BYU as only a 3.5 point favorite up against Central Florida. I know UCF is good, but BYU's offense, I know they've kind of stumbled the last couple of weeks. We haven't seen the 50-plus point team that we saw early on in the year, but this is going to be good weather. This is going to be Zach Wilson absolutely airing it out all game. This offense is going to get rolling, so give me BYU minus 3.5 in this game.
Yeah, I kind of like that too. UCF can keep up, but Zach Wilson is going to want to put some stuff on tape against a UCF team. I'm looking at the lines to see if anything jumps out to me on initial run through. I don't really see too much. I do like Nevada plus the 3 against Tulane. It opened at 4. It's coming down to 3. Nevada, I think, is just really good. I'm curious to see how
they're pretty underrated,
and I'm curious to see how many of these games actually happen and whatnot. But and what their offense is like. This is gonna be a year, I think, where you're gonna want to wait. Like I'd normally like to wait or like to get my lines in early if I could find a really good number. But this might be a good year to be really patient and jump on teams when you have the most information, when you know that unless you find out like ahead of time that this player or that player might not play, then maybe if you think you feel comfortable with it, but something to think about. Okay, Brian. So let's do. Oh, I had the best of the rest. Sorry, y'all. I was That was our college football minute. It is now in the books. What is your week 15 best bet, Brian?
So my week 15 best bet is gonna be up. I'm going against my Dallas Cowboys here, but I'm looking at the 49ers team total right now. It's currently sitting at only 22.5. I think that the Cowboys offense will be able to do just enough to keep the 49ers from just sitting on the ball in this game. And with them not being able to defend the pass or the running game in terms of the Cowboys, I think the 49ers are able to put up at least 3 touchdowns, definitely a field goal by Robbie Gould in this game. So give me the over of the 49ers team total of 22.5 as my best bet this week.
Best of luck to you. I watched far too much of the Niners-Washington game last week in that
But, hey, Washington's defensive line is
true.
I would think it's a little bit better than what the Cowboys are able to.
Nick Mullins tends to look a lot better when he's really comfortable. When he gets uncomfortable, he falls apart. I'm gonna go with the Eagles plus 6.5. I don't love it, but that's the one on everything on my card that keeps jumping out to me. So why don't you go ahead and recap your card and one more time for everybody, and I'll do the same, and then we can get out of here.
All right, so I'm going to be taking the over 58 in Oklahoma at Iowa State. I like Alabama to absolutely demolish.
Your dogs
Florida.
are not a fan of you.
Yeah, I was going to say
dogs, and you're taking favorites. What are we doing?
That's 2 Huskies that haven't had attention in about an hour, so I apologize for that. So yeah, Alabama minus 17 against Florida there. Ohio State minus 20, minus 21, minus 23, minus 24, whatever the hell it gets up to. Give me Ohio State to crush Northwestern this week. And then I like the Notre Dame team total over 24.5 in the ACC championship game going up against Clemson. To the NFL side here, I'm going to be taking the Packers team total of over 30.5 on Saturday night going up against Carolina, who their defense has been, it's been shaky to say the least. And I think Carolina's offense also will be able to do enough to keep the Packers rolling on offense and continue to try to put points on the board. I like Buffalo also on Saturday, laying the 6 in Denver. I think that Drew Lock, he's just such a turnover machine. I think Buffalo's defense is playing pretty good right now. I think they'll be able to create a few turnovers here, give them some short fields, and I think that Buffalo should be able to cover that line. And I'm going back to the well with Baltimore here. I'm going to be laying the 2 touchdowns against Jacksonville. I think Baltimore gets their running game going again. I think we see another 200-plus yard game from this running game. And then you see the Lamar, eclipse 200 passing yards in this one. So give me Baltimore minus 13. Give me Tampa Bay minus 6 against Atlanta. I think Tampa Bay rolls the Falcons. I like the Rams first half minus 10 and the Rams for the game minus 17.
Yeah. You made some good points. You brought up some interesting options, some that I don't agree with, but we'll see. Florida plus 17, Army Air Force under 37, 36. I'll take it. Coastal minus 3.5, Notre Dame plus the 10.5, Tulsa plus 2 touchdowns. On the NFL side, the Rams, we're going first half minus 10. We're going full game minus 17.5. Titans, Lions under 51.5. The Jags plus 13.5. The Bears plus 3. And my best bet of the week, going for 3 in a row, the Philadelphia Eagles 6.5. Jalen Hurts under center. Let's go. Feeling good, ready to roll, and excited for a full weekend of football and college basketball and NBA preseason, and the best.
It
For
is
Brian
great.
Twining, I'm Kyle Robert. Appreciate you checking out the whole show. If you made it this far, almost 45 minutes in. If you liked, subscribe, hit the little bell notification so you know when we go live, like Sunday mornings when we go live every Sunday. But for Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert. We'll talk to y'all next time.